The political evolution of party systems in the world follows a binary trajectory. The political evolutionary trend happens in most democracies where, although multiple parties exist, two dominant parties emerge, dominate the political space, and compete as alternate power wielders that form governments as government and opposition at the center. Now, everywhere globally, the electorate seem lazy to contemplate and analyze multiple possibilities, and they prefer to make decisions based on two defined options, either A or B. Is this going to be the case in Nigeria again in 2023 with what seems to be the 3 or 4 horse race for the first time since 1999? We have joining us in the studio the National Director General of Campaign Council of African Democratic Party, Abdulaziz Suleiman, to share his thoughts on this issue. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, Mr. Abdulaziz.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, so would you, with everything that has actually been said, would you say Nigeria has moved away from a two major party system, with the emergence of the likes of Labour Party, NNPP, the SDP, which other people actually think are forces to reckon with?
Yeah, actually, even before now, there have been multiple formations, multiple parties all along, but like you said, only two, in most cases, appear to be dominant, to dominate the rest. You see, before now, people were content with the setup of the two major political parties, as we call them, the APC and the PDP. But you see, events have actually overtaken that consideration. For instance, we have made researches, and everybody can, a lot of people can tell you that people are really frustrated hearing the names, APC and PDP, because they have been disappointed over time. Their incredible expectations have been let down, and so the people are really looking for an alternative. And what remains now is to secure an elite consensus. In every country there is an elite that decides what comes out and we are sure the elite is also tilting towards a paradigm shift, mostly in favor of generational change of power. Because you see, if you look at Nigerian history, the political atmosphere, the environment has been dominated by a certain class of people since independence. This same class has monopolized the total available activity in the country, and with little or no result to show. And you see that's why there has been this clamor for a shift of power among generations. And even the elderly, some past leaders are in support of that. And you see, unfortunately, the alternative parties, so to call them, the alternative candidates from the young generation failed to come together in the major parties to take over those parties. They failed because they could not reconcile among themselves, so they went into the race, and these money bags trashed them as usual. So we are hoping that, and which is also obvious, that people are going to pick an alternative from the big parties call the small parties or peripheral parties, but they are political parties anyway. So with a little push, I believe people would tilt towards a fresh face. You see, in most of the parties, there are people that have been in the race since 1999. Well, some of them are either governors, some are either senators, some have been. So I think people are now yearning for entirely new faces. And you see, the world is also...
But let me come in here, Abdulaziz. And the issue of new parties, I mean new faces, and of course also new parties in a way, is also there is also a counter argument to that regarding the viability of such platforms to actually upstage the strong parties of APC and PDP. How ready do you think, even if they come together, they can actually have an upper hand over these two parties?
You see, it's about people. Election is about people. Now, like I told you, vast majority of Nigerians are not happy. They are angry and they are looking for an alternative. And I don't think if elections are to be held free and fairly, people would certainly not vote for an alternative. That's the feeling, that's the heat that is going around in town, because you see, you can't expect, like I think there was this man in the US, was it Clinton or Bush, when he was campaigning for the presidency against an incumbent, he simply said, if you are satisfied that with what has been happening in the last 8 years, vote them. If you are not, vote me. So I think that's what the only option Nigerians have. If they feel they are satisfied with the way they have been ruled since 1990, we don't want to limit it to just the last 8 or 7 years or the previous government. Since 1999, power has been rotating among what we call an exploiter class that has lost touch with reality on ground and have gradually failed to understand the dynamics of the new generation, and a generation that needs to be situated within the context of a new global order that runs on values and new systems of life and activity. So you find that there is a disconnect between the generation of leaders we have and the real people on ground, which is why certainly if people are to be allowed to vote freely, they will vote for an alternative. What remains is for the parties themselves to put in the proper structures to protect their votes. But we are certain this time around people are, and you see, the most important thing is people have realized that it's the politicians that are causing these artificial divisions along religion, region, and tribe. So that's why you can see people are already coming together, not in the major parties. You see, we don't want to discuss the major parties because they are the cause of the problem. Most of the people in either of the parties have been, in one way or the other, responsible for the problems we are in. So people are thinking of a fresh idea, and they don't consider religion or tribe along that line.
Okay, now you hear a lot of people talk about, structure, saying that some of these smaller parties, lack structure. How important is it, for these, emerging parties to have achieved, varying successes in local and national level? And do you think the said lack of structure would actually hurt their chances come 2023?
You see, when people speak about structure, we really don't understand what are they talking of? Offices, office buildings, I mean, it doesn't matter. You see, we've seen in the north where the Talakawas were contributing money to finance party activities during Aminu Kano's NEPO and PRP. We also saw how people contributed money for Buhari's campaign. So I think it's not a matter of buildings, having offices here. And if people are committed, they know, at least they will have polling stations in their localities. They then just come out and vote, and they'll protect their votes. You don't have to have vanguards, you don't have to have offices. It's a matter of, you see, all these are the things that they use to blindfold Nigerians, that you don't have structures. They don't have structures either. The only thing they have is money. And certainly it will not work this time around.
Well, another issue is that of unity. You have alluded to that, like, coming together. How possible? Because for most of the aspirants, this contest is personal, or for some even a group idea, like for example the Labour Party candidate or the NNPP presidential candidate. How possible is it that for some of parties like yours to come together and rally behind one person?
Yeah, you see, that's what...
And sorry, just right there. And is that conversation ongoing right now?
Yeah, there is that possibility. But like I told you, the problem is like there is this personal ambition tied around some people's efforts. Because there are people, like I told you, who have been in the game. They have either contested and lost somewhere. And they may not be prepared to concede to fresh ideas. So what we are doing now is to get the people themselves to tell them to concede. You see, democracy is about people, and we are talking to the people right now. I think it's the people that will tell them. I think we have had examples in many places. I think during the Second Republic, there was this contest between NPN and PRP. NPN was the strongest party then. It had all the elites, all the money bags. Aminu Kano had nothing, but he was able to clinch the two major states in northern Nigeria, Kano and Kaduna. So it's about people. If you talk to the people and they understand you and they feel they can entrust their future in you, they'll certainly do whatever is possible to get you there. You see, what is understandable, what is clear, is that people have been disappointed by the clique of leaders that have rotated power among themselves for so long. So people are certainly looking for an alternative. It's left for. It doesn't really. We don't. I mean, what they call the small parties don't really even have to come together. They don't. A single party can go it alone. Talk to the people that matter. But when you insist on having to align with some of these people who have already made up their minds towards personal political ascendancy, they will not even consider the value of the change we are talking about. Okay. I think you see the Nigerian population is primarily made up of the youth. Which is why, if you look at the ADC, we're presenting a young man, fresh. He's not stained by any political debt in the past. And there are examples across the world where someone just come out not from the core political and became president in the United States. Trump was not within the core political system of the United States, but he was able to talk to the people, and they entrusted him. I think Macron also is not really that in the core politics of France, and the people trusted him. So that's what we are thinking of doing. We will speak to the people, and we believe they will understand us because they are already angry. They are looking for something to hold on to.
Okay. Now, earlier when we talked about structure, you actually talked about infrastructure, that's, buildings and all that. But don't you think it's also important, for these parties to have, elected persons in, certain positions nationwide?
But all the other parties don't have elected properly, so to say, elected positions. They have appointed people. They appointed people, they impose people in political offices. What we want to do is to have voluntary people working for the parties at the grassroots. You don't impose someone, you don't, none of the parties, even the ones that call themselves the big ones, had conducted any meaningful elections at the lower levels. They only imposed people. And like I told you, the only thing they have is money. So they can appoint anybody and say, you are the chairman of this ward, you are the chairman of that ward. We want people to own this struggle. the people should own it and execute it. That's what we are saying.
So what narrative are you selling to these people that you want them to?
First and foremost, we are asking them to assess the situation they are in. If they are satisfied with the situation they have found themselves in, then we cannot convince them out of that. But certainly we know that 99.9% of the people are not satisfied with the life they are living. So that done, we now offer them an alternative, that this is a government we are offering to you, in which you will be a part of it, you will participate in it, and you build your country. I think it's a simple thing.
So what chances do you think your party stands in this, in this space, within this calculation you are making?
You see, the ADC has been, I think, in the third position some times ago. Some analysts said it's now fourth with the emergence of, I think, the strengthening of LP by OB. But if you look at the reality on ground, is that OB and his people have committed a grave mistake by I don't know whether deliberately or subconsciously floating a religious card, and certainly it will not help them, because they have confined themselves to a certain box. If you go to the northeast, the calculation is that Zulum, Shetima, and Atiku will fight there. They will scatter their votes there. In the northeast, southeast, perhaps probably their votes will go majorly to Obi. In the southwest, Tinubu has dominance there. So it is now the south-south, north-central, and northwest that are open. And we believe the south-south is a liberal zone, and our candidate is also the son of the soil there. He's from the south-south, and we have made touches with the people that matter there. And in the northwest, that is the swing zone as far as these elections are concerned. In the northwest, it's open. It's only Kwankwaso who will make a little damage, who will cause a little harm in Kano, possibly. Not really. But then, we are certain that the northwest will tilt towards a young man with fresh ideas. Because the northwest certainly is the major casualty of if not only this administration, even previous administrations, because that's where you have the bulk of the people living in poverty, the bulk of the people, as they say, living, the bulk of illiterate population is the northwest. So the northwest is certainly the zone that is seeking for change, and fortunately for the emerging parties like ADC, there is no serious candidate to cause damage there. So we believe we are going to get considerable votes in the northwest, and added to the domination we may have in the south-south.
This. Recently, that's the new president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, that's CAN, Most Reverend Daniel Oko, had predicted a woeful performance and possible failure of political parties if they rely on structures, popularity, or strength to win the 2023 elections. So in essence, what he's saying is, Nigerians are now evolved, and, rather than vote for parties, would actually vote for a candidate they believe in. Do you agree with him?
That's exactly what we are saying, that nobody is going to vote because you are APC or because you are PDP. People are going to vote because you are who you are, and they believe that you can do something for them, or they believe you have something in common with them. You see, the youth population are the most endangered as far as Nigeria is concerned. You look at our students in higher institutions who are the natural and legitimate claimants shaping every society. They've been shut out of school for several months now. So they would want an alternative, someone who will understand them, who will understand their feelings. So that's what we are saying, that people certainly this time around are not going to vote across party lines. They're not going to vote across regional or ethnic or religious lines. People would vote persons who they think are capable, competent, and prepared. You see, a lot of these leaders come to power ill-prepared and even ill-equipped to rule, just for their personal political ambition, and in most cases quest for fantastic wealth. So you find they end up leaving the people poorer and more divided than they made them. You can see what's happening now. So these are the things we are working on, to get people to realize that Nigeria is our own. Nigeria is the Nigeria of Muslims, is the Nigeria of Christians, is the Nigeria of every significant component, big or small.
Yeah, that's a very important point, and well, we hope that message is emphasized by other political actors, ahead of the coming election. And that's been Abdulaziz Suleiman, Director General of ADC Presidential Campaign for the 2023 election. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and we hope to have you another time.
Thank you very much.